Our next guest says this move makes Pfizer a more credible threat in the obesity landscape. For more, let's bring in Evan Seigerman, head of healthcare research at BMO Capital Markets. Evan, great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
You've got a buy rating on Pfizer and a $30 price target. I'm wondering, buying this portfolio of very experimental obesity drugs, i.e. phase 1 drugs effectively, does this make you a lot more bullish?
I am bullish because I think Pfizer's foray into obesity we've been waiting for this to happen. Lotiglipron, danuglipron, their small molecule GLP-1s didn't really go anywhere. I feel like they can really make a mark here. What's most notable to me is that they have once monthly assets coming from the Metsera portfolio, which is different than anything Lilly or Novo has. We've talked a lot about Amgen's Maritide, but there were tolerability issues presented at the ADA meeting. So I am excited. I also want to note that their oral peptide does not have the food effect. We've talked a lot about this, me and you, Melissa, about having to fast before you take oral semaglutide. You don't have to do that with this product.
So in terms of the amylin offering, the amylin analog, do you think that they could actually compete against a Novo and a Lilly whose programs are more advanced than the ones that they're acquiring from Metsera? Or do you have to believe that the obesity drug market is so big that there's room for a few different amylin competitors?
I think both. I think it's going to be that big. And I think in order to be successful, you really have to have scale. This is a market that is going to be driven by volume and not by price. We've seen that pricing already under pressure from both Lilly and Novo. When it comes to competing versus Lilly and Novo in the amylin space, I think that the once monthly option and the oral option that they also have could be very interesting. CagriSema was okay. We've spoken about that as well. It kind of disappointed last year, so it's not really the most exciting. And of course, Novo's going to have manufacturing challenges because there's a dual chambered pen component, so it's a little harder to make.
Evan, it strikes me that when you see these obesity treatments having so many other effects, beneficial effects on so many other conditions, if you're a big pharmaceutical company serving all these other markets with different diseases and conditions, I guess you have to feel as if, obesity might be kind of the skeleton key to a lot of this stuff, and you have to protect yourself by being involved in a big way. Can everybody be involved?
I don't know if everyone can be involved because there's a lot of infrastructure build-out that's required to be successful. You really need to have a large field force when you're eventually selling these. You need to have big, complex contracts with the payers. But to your point, obesity is a precursor to many diseases. So if a big pharma company wants to be successful and really help human health, this is a great place to start.
Last week, we got a lot of data from the diabetes meeting in Vienna. And I'm just wondering if in your mind, if something has changed amongst investors for Novo. It does seem that there's been a major sentiment change, a flip, if you will, of the switch in terms of how much more bullish investors are getting on Novo, given the data readouts they got last week in different surveys.
Right. I think that, folks like the valuation disconnect between Lilly and Novo. Novo trades at a bit of a discount. I also think they like the fact that the new CEO is coming in there and really making some changes. I've gotten some inbounds most recently on the Evoke trial, which is looking at oral semaglutide in Alzheimer's disease. I think a lot of folks are really interested in that. That data is going to be presented at a meeting in December. So people are warming up. But from my perspective, I want to see more kind of action and more results before I do that upgrade.